gone on in like the last few days. Now, this is not I'm stoked, to be honest, because there's so much more that's going to happen. So it's just Wednesday, right? For those of you who don't know, Darth Malik is coming to the game, and we haven't seen his full kit. I'd expect to see it in like the next day or so. I'm not really going to be talking about Malik because people are going bat stuff crazy. That's a video unto itself, guys. Darth Malik is hands down going to be a completely new era of this game, and I'm excited. I really am. I'm really stoked to see how this works. Takedown games, welcome. Like, I'm stoked to see how this works because I think this is going to change everything. I think this is the introduction of the rest of our life. Now, what I mean by that is, up until now, I think they've been playing like Junior League Pee-wee ball, and they're moving into, I don't know, maybe varsity ball, and I think they're going to be going pro here in a bit, right? So a lot of the mistakes of the past hopefully will be remedied and addressed. But not talking about Malik, guys. It's going to be a late night. I've got another video that I have to record and then edit, then produce, all before I go to bed. And then I'm just glad I have energy for tomorrow. And by that, I mean an energy drink. Now, I know all of you guys are like, stop drinking energy drinks. I would. But anyways, not going to talk about Malik because, again, that's a whole new thing. The Road Ahead post launched 10 minutes ago, like 20 minutes ago. I was in the middle of making a video. My kid came down. I had to put her back down to back to bed. And I was like, I wonder if the Road Ahead post is going to come out tonight. Boom! Here it is. Again, guys, tons of stuff. Tons of stuff is coming out in the next couple of days. So first off, this is Carrie, right? She is the CG Carrie. She is the head producer, lead producer, designer, whatever, over there at Capital Games. She's the person who makes sure that EA is okay with everything that they do. So it's important to see like everything, right? She's the voice of who's doing what. So she started this a year ago, and she starts off this whole road ahead, and she's like, oh, hey, this is what we're doing. She's like, some YouTuber is going to be poring over this and looking at every single word choice, and which was nice that she called me out. Carrie and I think we've talked once, but it was cool to see that she's like, hey, nerdy, I know that this is essentially what you do, and have fun. So yeah, here we are. Now, some key elements before we even get into the Road Ahead post is they're going to be showing us more behind the scenes. They're trying to get us inside the studio. This is, I think, not only interesting, but super important here because they understand the hatred and the frustration of fans. They do. They really do. And what they're trying to do is say, hey, we want to be better about communicating more effectively. And I think that this is a great first step. Now, the first step was essentially the Road Ahead post saying they're going to be doing it every quarter. Now, instead of saying the first, I really want to say that they told us that they'd be coming out within the first week. Now they're like, the first weeks of the quarter. Now, that's not always the case. Things change, things happen. But they're going to keep that out, and they're going to be giving us more and more feedback and more insight into how things work, why they were designed a certain way. And I think that's cool, right? We saw it with Jedi Knight Revan. We saw it with Darth Revan. And it sounds like they're going to be doing more and more of those. Now, the character cadence update. This this is the important thing. This is what I'm super stoked about, guys. Not even super stoked. It's late. My brain's not working. We're still going to be getting marquees. Marquees is how they introduce stuff, right? It's how they introduce new characters. But they understand that new characters have to be balanced with reworks for the old one. Now, they do say here in this little post that their dev team spends a ton of time, if not more time, trying to rework these characters than they would if they were just to introduce new characters. Now, they're going to give us a ton of reworks, and I'll talk about that here in a bit, but it sounds like it's going to be half and half. So what I'm hoping, and this is pie in the sky, fingers crossed, what I'm hoping that we see is here in the next couple of weeks, we see a series of reworks. Like every couple of weeks we get 2 or maybe 3, because there's a number of tunes out there that just don't work. They realize they don't work because the game keeps getting bigger and better, and the tunes keep getting more awesome and more powerful. And, you know, eventually we will be able to go to college and get like doctorate degrees in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes abilities. It just seems like that's going to be the case. But what they're going to be doing is reworking some of those core tunes that failed. So what does that mean? Bodhi Rook, there may come a time when he is not the worst character in the game. He might be on par eventually with characters like, I don't know, Gamorrean Guard and Cup and other characters. I don't rightly know, but like, it sounds like they're going to be reworking some of these characters, or quite a few of these characters, which makes sense and is hopeful, because let's face it, guys, they need to be. A lot of these characters need to be. And again, what they've pointed out here, and I'll highlight here, is this, it says like in some cases they're going to try to keep them streamlined as much as possible to make them effective, but at the same time to be good, right? To be useful. But they said in some cases, like in the recently reworked HK-47, we had to change the core identity as the droid leadership by giving him a new role in the Sith Empire team, which is giving him power and synergy with his master, Darth Revan, which resulted in his nerfing the ability. In cases like that, we feel he is more interested in, we feel he is a more interesting and balanced character than before, which I still don't like how he's not able to revive. That really bugs me, but I'm kind of over it, but at the same time I'm not. But they haven't said, for that reason, we've decided to refund investments in that leadership ability, and every time we make a significant change, we will attempt to make that calculation. Now, if you've invested in Jedi Knight Anakin and you're like, oh, he's going to be totally different. If you've invested in Cody and all of a sudden Cody's abilities aren't going to be the same, and they're not going to, and if he's completely reworked, there's a possibility that you're going to get your materials back. And I think that's cool. They're listening. They're not necessarily the money grubbers that we think they are. I mean, they're a business and they have to make money. And I'll talk about their strategy and how the game's going to change in my video tomorrow, which I'm actually really excited about. But this is going to take time, and that is, you know, interesting. Now, there's one last note, which is really kind of a fascinating thing, that there will always be pretty dominant characters, Malik, from what we can see. Before I continue, so far nothing is getting refunded, but when they rework a character, and if they change that character's core identity, like they did with HK-47 and his leadership ability, then they're going to calculate, whatever that means, on whether or not that gets a refund. And it sounds like if they change the core identity, that it will. Which, whatever they rework, whatever abilities they rework, if it's fundamentally different, then we'll get a change in, or we'll potentially get a refund to that ability. And so that's what I think. But the cool thing here is this. There will always be some pretty dominant characters, but our hope is that a variety of competitive teams filter into the community over time. Now, we've seen that so far. The Night Sisters have become pretty powerful. I mean, in the Darth Revan, Jedi Knight Revan era, they're not as awesome, but they're still meta-ish. So that's cool. I like that. And so like there's other teams out there that are filtering in, right? Ewoks, maybe one day, probably not, but who knows? Over time and primarily the meta of the game becomes a little more balanced in the future, and that's the goal, is to get it more balanced. While it's not a true rock paper scissors meta, which I kind of like. Greedin, what's up? I don't know why I said it like that. What's up, man? Which I don't think it should be a direct rock paper scissors necessarily. I think there should be some nuances there, and I think that, you know, rock should be able to beat paper from time to time. Maybe not all the time, but with the right mods, rock should be able to beat paper, and paper should be able to dominate scissors if it has God's mods and some Zetas. I don't know. I just think that it should be a little more nuanced than just the true rock, paper, scissors. And I think that's cool here. But it continues. It says, and while it takes some time to execute, this is the targeted end state. So their goal is for that... it was a total guess. Yeah. But the goal should be that nuanced rock, paper, scissors, that nuanced multi-meta. And I think that is cool, because the end game shouldn't be, well, there's 4 metas. This team can beat this team, and this team can beat this team, and this team can beat this team. But they all, whatever. There should be a constant... I don't know, like focus, tweaking, you know, like you get up and you're in the top 50 and you're like, okay, this is what got me to the top 50 and this team is effective. However, I don't know, maybe I need to tweak it a little bit because I've got some mods here that I've not been used to, that I'm going up against, I'm not used to. I think that's awesome. I think it's cool that that's the end game. Now, that's their goal, right? Their end goal. Is it going to be something we see in the next couple of weeks? No. Months? Probably not. By the end of the year? Maybe. But at least they know, and they're telling us what they're trying to do. And I think that's cool, right? And somewhere here, somewhere in this list of preamble, she goes through and is like, hey, we're going to try to cut it down and, you know, not try to do these big effing speeches, so on. So it's right here. So it's like our goal is to be more frequent, so it's not big chunks of stuff. So people like myself don't go live at 11:30 at night my time and be like, yeah, obviously PJs and beanie, because, you know. Oh, bust this. Okay, so here's the road ahead. When we originally planned the content, there was a big flippin' gap between Solo and Episode 9. We're still in that gap. And they're like, all right, we're going to fill it with Knights of the Old Republic. Why? Because we own the material, we're familiar with it, so on and so forth. Cool. They're moving away from that. And it sounds like Darth Malik is the last of it, for a time, Old Republic era character. Now, first off and foremost, boom, Kim Val. Let's do a quick Google search for Kim Val, because for those of you who don't play, I'm like, my mic is way too close for my dashboard, and then VAL. Let's hope Kim Val is not also some kind of weird sex act, because that would be awkward. This dude, yeah. For those of you who've never played Star Wars The Old Republic, Kim Val is this like soul eater. That's like all I remember from the game. He was a Sith era character. I'm excited about that because again, it's cool that they're going to potentially bring in other games, other EA properties. I'm excited about that. I think that's really pretty neat. But apparently, CG or Carrie is CG Carrie is a fan of a Soul Eater. I don't know. She probably likes Dementors too. I'm not entirely sure, but the idea is they're going to spend time on a different era. Now, clearly that era is going to be the Clone Wars. Force Vampire is what Ryan Armstrong is saying. Thanks, Ryan. He sucks the Force out of people. He eats their yummy Force, their gooey Forceness. I feel like that just got weird. It's late, so this is going nerdy after dark. But anyways, they're going to be focusing on the Old Republic. They're going to be focusing on the Clone Wars for a time, and I'm stoked for that. I think we all are excited about that because the Clone Wars. I mean, sometime I think on Friday we figure out when the event. We figure out more about the Clone Wars from the actual event in at a Star Wars not Galaxy of Heroes, Star Wars Celebration, right? Tomorrow, actually, we should find out when Disney Plus is launching. So I'm really excited about that because Disney Plus, I mean, once we have an official date, we'll also start to see stuff from like The Mandalorian. We'll start to see stuff from like any number of really cool things, right? So I'm very excited for that. Like very, very excited for that. This week is just gonna be jam packed with Star Wars information, and I am so excited. Mostly because all I have to do tomorrow is clean and make videos, and I don't know, play Battlefront 2, the original Battlefront 2, which hosed me today. But moving on, guys. Moving on. We are going to be starting off. We're getting reworks of the trio of master duelists from the Jedi Order. Anakin Skywalker, General Kenobi, and Ahsoka Tano. Okay. Now this is dangerous territory in my mind. First off, Anakin and Ahsoka, absolutely, totally need it. Very excited for it. Kenobi is one of the few bad A freaking characters who, if I'm not mistaken, still doesn't have a Zeta. I mean, let's jump over to SWGOH.GG and double check that, right? Because it's nice to have this kind of crap at my fingertips. Kenobi. Oh, I gotta spell Kenobi right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a Zeta. And that's impressive for being how awesome he is. He's in everything. Like, yeah, I know. That's what I do. I'm trying to like branch this out, guys. Yeah, so tell your friends I'm providing quality content to the masses. Just wait for tomorrow. I've got this whole like pyramid scheme. It's not a scheme. You don't have to buy anything, but like it's serious. I've got this video that I'm talking about the change that's coming. Yeah, moving off. Here's the thing, guys. General Kenobi is this powerful Jedi, and the hands down best character without a Zeta in the game. Kenobi is a plug and play character. He is great everywhere. How are they going to rework him that changes that? I really worry, right? I'm wondering if they're going to adjust the taunt ability. I actually have my tinfoil hat over there in the corner. There's a lot of stuff that like they could do wrong with Kenobi. So I'm hesitant there. But the idea is they're going to make Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano better. And they're going to make them fit together in a way that is going to be uplifting for all of them. So if you have these characters, if you have these tunes already gear 12, and I think like my Ahsoka Tano is something like gear 9 and Anakin's gear 10 or something. So I'm not there yet, right? But I am excited for this. Nervous. Really nervous about all this stuff, right? Really nervous about Kenobi. But excited for Anakin and Ahsoka, because that is going to be awesome. That is going to be pretty sweet. So, it doesn't necessarily right off the bat say anything about like other Jedi that we'll be getting. I'm kind of shocked that we didn't see a Mace Windu thrown in just yet. I'm curious to know how he will fit in the territory battle that we will be getting. Super stoked for that. Gotta say I called it, which, I mean, let's face it, it wasn't a huge leap of logic. But as a man who's been happily married for about 10 years, I don't win very many arguments. I also am the father of 2 kids, 2 girls, and again, I don't win very many arguments, so it's nice to win here. It's nice to have one in the W column. The idea here with these 3 characters is they're going to synergize, lifting each other up and making each other better. So it looks like they do have the kits done. They're probably just in their beta phases and they're doing some testing. I'm really excited about this. I think this is going to be really sweet. But they're going to be playing around in this era for quite a while. So expect to see more old and new characters. And new character. You guys know what that means. You guys know exactly what that means. Freaking Hondo. Because it always comes back to Hondo, right? He's Hondo. Now, territory battles on Geonosis. So this is the map, right? You see it in my thumbnail image. I am... Oh, thanks, Gridded. I'm excited here. So Clone Wars, they are announcing the big feature update, which will land inside of the next 3 months. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first territory battle came in, was it June? I don't know. But really, so 3 months at least before the end of the quarter. So that's exciting, right? So I would probably say June, we'll probably be able to see it, or at least see more from it sometime at the end of May. So that'll be pretty cool. It does say that they've adjusted the other territory battle maps. So they've streamlined the Hoth platoons, so players can effectively clear Hoth. The new Geonosian map will have new characters along with special events. We are eager to share more details as we get closer to the release. So I'm thinking more like May that we'll see something to that extent. But so it says Takedown Games is telling me that when they introduced a 6th Han, they'll rework OG Lando and Lobot. Quite possibly. I could see Carbonite Han being that one. I could totally see that. Or like Baby Daddy Han, where he's not sure how to be a father type thing. I mean, get off it. None of us are. But it's interesting, right? Could be anything. It really could be anything. But they're going to be giving this stuff probably, I would guess, May. Let's see. Palin says, I will never give Mace his Omegas on his basic. His basic will read Invincible. Invincible ass forever. Nice. Now, here's the thing, guys. Grand Arena Championships. This is cool. Now, I've been playing a game called... let me bring it up real quick. Balls. It's called like Duels or something like that. It's in like the beta phase. And it is essentially what they're talking about here. And it is a really, really cool concept. So it says, and I'm just going to read this. In the update, we are also going to be releasing an extension to Grand Arena called the Grand Arena Championship. A championship is a multi-week series of Grand Arena events and competitive challenges where players can fight their way to more and more exclusive leagues for higher rewards and ultimate bragging rights. First off, that's awesome. So if you are a free-to-play player and you are solid, you're going to be going up against someone like me who's been an aggressive Dolphin, who's been an aggressive Minnow for a long time. And I have a very bloated roster, right? And you're going to be going up against me who maybe struggles from time to time with his attacks, as maybe you guys saw in the last Galactic Arena that I live streamed. Which, by the way, even though I did terrible in that live stream, totally won that. It was awesome. But you're going to be fighting your way up through the ranks, really being able to challenge yourself and being competitive. So if you've been dominant in your Grand Arena for like the last however long since it was introduced, you're going to have a chance to actually test your skills. This is really freaking cool in my mind. It's kind of, hopefully, what the tournaments should have been, right? Now, it'll probably still follow the same function, the same format as Grand Arena does, but it's just going to be more challenging, and it'll pit players against like better players or players of their own caliber. That is exciting. That is really, really cool. I am very excited about that, because that now better and better rewards, will that be determined based on what tier that person ends up in, or what tier that person started from and how far they climbed? I don't know. And I don't know how they're going to do that, but it's going to be more and more information is coming, and like this is exciting. This is so freaking cool. Now, it does say they're going to be doing a restricted beta in the next coming weeks, so they'll have more and more information soon about that. I gotta say, guys, I don't think we're done. I really don't. So it says stop by our booth. So Star Wars Celebration, they've got a booth. And talk with a team member in attendance about the upcoming Clone Wars content, or watch the Star Wars show coverage on the event April 11th. If you are attending, swing by early and drop off your ally code to get some swag. Someone drop off my ally code and give me some swag, because I want it. I gotta say, this is awesome. Like, I'm really excited about this, because she's addressed some issues that I think a lot of us have had about communication, about like, I would much rather have smaller posts than big road aheads. You know, periodically I wouldn't mind a road ahead. Periodically I wouldn't mind, you know, the random like, hey, here's all the crap that's coming, boom, right? But it's nice to just be more up to date, in the know, and really get what's going on, like in the moment. I think that's awesome, and I think that's great that that's where they're going to go. There's been a lot of excitement and passion from the players throughout our entire community's development cycle. We always endeavor to be worthy of your time and attention. We are so happy to continue to play in this sandbox and provide new challenges. Now, I'm stoked, guys. Now, this map, this looks cool. I'm excited. Like, and I haven't even spent hardly any time looking at what this could or couldn't be. Clones are going to get a rework. Geonosians are going to get a rework. oh man, I mean, there's so much out there. The Jedi are going to get a rework. I don't think necessarily that when she said sandbox, it's a hint at a sandbox. Possibly, but I'm not buying into it entirely. I do think that the sandbox that we could see would be Galactic War. That kind of is our sandbox currently. But at the same time, you know, they said that they want this game to be 5 years down the road. They're planning for that, and 5 was probably their, you know, safe number, right? And it would be cool for them to be able to put a sandbox in the game. You know, I like personally, it would be really neat if players could do that. Now, whether or not they do or not, I don't know. I mean, computing power and technology changes so quickly that I don't know if it's possible in the game currently, but it might be possible in the game in the future. There are a ton of things that we could be doing and getting. And 5 years is a long time. And that could mean a number of different things. Now, does that mean that eventually they'll retire some of these things? Does it mean eventually they'll retire Hoth? Will they retire the other one? I totally spaces it right now, but yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that's coming out and a lot of stuff that could be added to this game. And Sandbox could be one of them. Now, I'm stoked, guys. As far as Malik goes, and I'll finish it off with this because I do have to create another video before I go to bed and edit it. Very excited for that. I'm excited and nervous. Just like I am with a lot of different things. I think Malik has a lot of potential. I think he's going to be bringing in an entirely new class of character. For those of you who are upset about the way that this event is rolling out, I strongly feel, I don't know this, but I strongly feel that this is going to be something that we're going to see a lot more of in the future. And this is going to become commonplace. This is going to be very commonplace, this type of event, this type of character. Now, will it be with Malik? Well, Malik was just the first, right? Or the last, if you look at it, considering like he's the last of the Old Republic that we're going to be getting. So I don't rightly know. So, but I do think that he's definitely an interesting character. But I don't know. I'm excited to see his kit. We have seen, let me just bring that up real quick. We have seen a little bit of his kit. Boop, boop. We have seen a brief section on his kit. I can't bring it up, man. My brain, my computer, all that jazz. This is hilarious. I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on. Oh, that's funny. Okay, but this is the image of the kit, and from what we see, guys, Malik is gonna be a beast, just a hands down beast. And like, I'm both excited and nervous for him, but we'll see how that works out. Now, guys, I know it's late, and I do appreciate you joining me this late at night. I'm excited to be able to bring this. I think I was the first. I mean, I've been checking my refreshing my other YouTube pages. I'm not seeing anyone else live streaming, but you know, they'll probably have more followers when they come on. But guys, thank you so much for being with me. Thank you so much for joining me this late at night. I love doing this. This is so fun. Like, I enjoy the hell out of it. I really do. It's fun to come on and talk. You know, it's fun to come on and just nerd out with people who care about the same stuff that I care about. And that's any community. You know, I mean, if I did a Game of Thrones show, you know, people would be like, "Oh, Game of Thrones," and they'd come on and talk about it. I love that. I think that it's so cool. And while we may disagree on every other aspect of life, even, it's cool that we can come together and talk about Star Wars. We may disagree on the best characters in this game, but it's cool. It is really neat to have that. I mean, our world is so divided that, and I'm not trying to get on a soapbox. I'll go, but it's awesome. Star Wars is great, and I love it. I love making these videos. I love making this content. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for showing up and just talking with me. I love it. I do. It makes my day. This has been Thaddeus from Going Nerdy. Like, subscribe, share. Visit me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm all over the place. Check us out on goingnerdy.com. Eventually, I will post a post there. I'm working on one now that speculates whether or not Dumbo will somehow save or defeat Thanos in Star Wars and Marvel Endgame. Like, subscribe, share. This has been Thaddeus from Going Nerdy. As always, my friends, smile and stay nerdy.